now time for the Morning Watch with the Reverend Dr. Toussaint. And today the Morning Watch is brought to you by Bashco, the store that gives you more.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on my Bashco. Get it on my Bashco. 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 Everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed on a Bashco. Furniture for your house, everything for your kitchen, rooms, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. I'm sorry. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, analyzing romantic AI relationships. And in the second watch, cancer is not a death sentence. For our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on having an AI girlfriend or boyfriend? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
All right, good morning. Today's I quote says, life becomes easier when you learn to accept the apology you never got. And this one is from R. Brault.
Good morning, Jokal.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, interesting quote there again.
Definitely.
But I see that you're all sweatered up this morning, my brother.
Yeah.
What's happening?
What's that feel like when I went to Atlanta last year?
Cold. Well, I tell you, it's a different type of...
Yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah.
When this one will come out.
Yeah, it's going to come out. Yeah. Right. The first watch will be back after this break.
The United Circuit of Seventh-day Baptist Churches hosted its 59th annual convention on Saturday, February 3, 2024, 10 a.m. at the Luna Seventh-day Baptist Church, St. Andrew. The theme for the service was United and Spiritually Resilient for a Successful Future. The speaker was Reverend Devon Levy. Love 101 FM will present a recording of this service this Sunday, February 25 at 12 noon. That's the 59th annual convention of the United Circuit of Seventh-day Baptist Churches. Listen for the recording at 12 noon on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Give me life, I'm so all the world's not changing.
The Jamaica Baptist Union is hosting its 174th General Assembly under the theme Keeping Faith with the Word in an Ever-Changing World. And this Wednesday, February 21, you are invited to listen to the opening service live from the Boulevard Baptist with speaker, President Reverend Dr. Glenroy Leno, pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church in Halfway Tree, speaking on the theme Pursuing Integrity. Listen for Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef at 7 p.m. this Wednesday, right before the broadcast of the JPU. Join us on Sunday, February 25 at 10 a.m. as we will bring you the service from the National Arena with speaker Reverend Maria Laws on the theme Keeping Faith with the Word in an Ever-Changing World, Demanding Equity. That's the Jamaica Baptist Union 174th General Assembly this Wednesday, February 21 at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday, February 25 at 10 a.m. live on the family station Love 101. The Jamaica Theological Seminary presents the Clive Affleck Memorial Lecture, Thursday, February 22 at 6 p.m. at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, 814 to 16 West Avenue, Kingston. Listen live on Love 101 FM radio and on our social media platforms. That's the Jamaica Theological Seminary Clive Affleck Memorial Lecture, Thursday, February 22 at 6 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, there are some AI applications we simply can't escape using. We actually use them every day. But there's one AI app that is optional, at least for now. Some of us find our partners within the church or outside of the church, while others search for love on the internet via one of the many dating sites. And now, what is known for years as chatbot, users are getting emotionally attached to AI girlfriends and boyfriends. The question is, how far does this search for love go? Is finding love with an AI-generated girl or boyfriend the wave of the future? Well, to discuss this and other related issues, we have joining us Mrs. Sonia Winter, Associate Clinical Psychologist of Tea House Therapy, and Pastor Christopher Brodber, Matchmaker of the U2 Project. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great. Good to have you both with us. I trust you are doing okay. Now, I begin with you, Pastor.
Indeed.
Yes, I begin with you, Pastor Brodber. As a matchmaker, reportedly, walk us through the process of generating romantic AI relationships. How does it usually work? How is it done?
Well, the intention, let's clarify, rematchmaker. My intention is never to facilitate any digital dating dynamic. You know, nobody falling in love with virtual Jenny or virtual Carl. I don't think it is, ultimately prudent. But what's apparently happening is that persons who are looking for interaction and they are not having human interaction, they're finding some fulfillment with the digital devices that come in the form of these AI apps. Yeah, of course, it isn't necessarily a healthy dynamic, but it is a crutch to fill a slot, and we're getting comfortable with that.
How's it done, Pastor? You go on the internet and
how is it done?
Yeah.
Apparently, there are different apps now. I know that one just failed, meaning that it didn't have enough support, and they pulled it from the market. But there's, you go onto some of these apps and you realize there's a voice available to interact with you. But further to that, these are sites that are made for interaction, made for the programs respond in a personal way in order to tickle your fancy, so to speak. It is the obvious evolution of some of the artificial things that we use as crutches. But back in the day, there was the telephone. You call the lady on the phone, and she gives you the phone. All of the phone niceties. You don't know her, you've never seen her, but she's on the phone with you, or the guy is on the phone with you. It is these evolutions in order to fill slots that are there in individuals' lives because of the lack of human interaction. And there are plenty, whether they are, I'm going to say that there is this increase on even sex dolls and sex toys that fill a slot with individuals. And, of course, it can be, it's not the healthy dynamic, but it is where we have come to. It is where we have come to.
That's where we are. Mrs. Winter, as a clinical psychologist, help us to better understand the psychology behind such romantic AI relationships. What's going on there?
Well, I like it how, is it Reverend Broadbaugh?
Yes, Pastor Christopher Broadbaugh. Yes.
Pastor Broadbaugh. Okay, they has put it. The point is that these relationships, these avatars, and so on, they feel a need, and quite often they're people who are lonely. They have difficulty connecting with real human beings, and difficulty because of a myriad of reasons. It could be they're insecure, they're isolated physically and emotionally. They have difficulty with the ups and downs of a human relationship, and for that reason, they can go onto an app, they can design the avatar that they're looking at, so the person can look exactly the way they want to look. The artificial person, as it were, let's call it an avatar, can look how they want them to look. They can sound how they want them to look. And the thing about it is that you can then enter into a relationship where the relationship gives you everything that you need in terms of lack of judgment, in terms of encouragement, in terms of support. If depending on what you're feeling, if you're feeling grief, if you're feeling alone, discouraged, then the artificial intelligence and the programming, the algorithm behind the particular avatar is able to provide the answer that can reassure you and even give you a kind of dopamine rush as you feel a little bit better from what you're hearing. You feel validated, you feel a sense of worth because of what the avatar is actually saying to you. So you can therefore, because how these feel good hormones are. Once you get a rush of them, it's almost like your mind says, "This feels good, go back for more." And so you can kind of create a habit. It can be habit forming because through life's ups and downs, you go and this avatar is making you feel a whole lot better. And so as a result, you can have a dependency on it. Okay. And a dependency where you're not actually engaging in a real relationship, which has ups and downs. So you kind of almost lose your ability to conduct a healthy relationship with an individual, because human beings are human beings. We have feet of clay, so there's not all the time we're going to be supportive. It's not all the time we're going to be available to another person, and it's not all the time we're going to agree. It's there's conflict. Relationships have ups and downs, which you have to learn to navigate in order to be a healthy, sociable individual.
Yes.
But because these avatars, they don't put that strain on you. They don't create that tension where you have to come out of your comfort zone in order to connect with somebody else. You have to be empathetic with somebody else, which can be demanding on you. They don't create that need. So it's a very one-sided relationship that can create a dependency.
You mentioned about the avatar, and I guess you're saying it's customized. You're saying that persons are able to actually make the individual whatever they want the individual to be. Is almost in their likeness.
Well, if in their likeness is what they want.
Yes.
They can. Customize is exactly the word. The individual that they're looking at on the screen or hearing can be customized to look a certain way and to sound a certain way. You have different voices, different accents, different intonations that you can choose.
Yes, interested.
Exactly.
Lady and the gentleman, we're up on a break. We'll be right back.
In life, the more you have, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry. The more you own, the less you sleep.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind.
Knowing that whatever I own
And whoever I care about are covered by the very best.
with Sagicor Life and Advantage General, get life, health, and general insurance to help you protect what matters most.
Yes, me get the last cheese. Taste the meat. Brothers and sisters, at the end of Easter service, we have cheese. Taste the meat. Only regular bun cheese. Taste the meat. Serve, sell me some bun and cheese. Taste the meat. What? It's rather nice with some tasty cheese. Taste the meat. Can I have some cheese, please? Make me get on real bad with the tasty cheese, boy. Taste the meat with tasty cheese. Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on my Bashco. Get it on my Bashco. Bashco. Be everything what you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed on a Bashco. Get it on my Bashco. Yeah, Bashco. Furniture for your house, and everything for your kitchen, rocks, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
The little junkie is on duty every Saturday inside News Connection. Don't miss the hype. Don't miss the tunes. Don't miss the excitement with your boy, DJ Reverb. Saturdays at 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. on your family station. Tune in at 4 p.m. for a gym feature where we share word to blow your mind. And at 4:30 p.m., we share with you how young people are giving of their time and fulfilling their purpose inside Ministry in Action. We're going to take a poetry and spoken word inside poetry rooms. And you get to send us a WhatsApp message and request your favorite gospel song inside Gospel Favorite Vibe. Oh, this and more every Saturday on your family station. Love 101 at 3 p.m. inside News Connection. With your love jockey, your boy, DJ Reverb.
DJ Reverb.
As a fitness guy, I was surprised by my chronic illness diagnosis. I thought working out harder would fix it, but it wasn't enough. Now, my prescription meds are a part of my routine.
When I got my diagnosis, I really felt down and stopped spending time with the people I love. Then I decided not to let any disease get the best of me. And I'm committed to taking my meds as prescribed. On time, every time.
No hesitation. Take your medication. A message from the NHF. NHF is here for health. NHF is here for you.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Jamaican people, JLP say building alright. Anything less, we not fear them no mind. Building for you and your community. We will build up Jamaica by supporting good policies. Yeah. Build a better life for you and for me.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. In this, the first watch, we have been discussing the whole matter of romantic AI relationships. We are seeking to analyze the phenomenon. And in so doing, we have online Mrs. Sonia Winter. She's an associate clinical psychologist of Tea House Therapy, and Pastor Christopher Broadber. He's a matchmaker of the U2 project. Welcome again to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Dylan.
Great. Now, from a pastoral and psychological perspective, what are your concerns or criticisms re this practice? Of course, beginning with you, Pastor Broadber.
Well, it's as I alluded to, it's not a healthy place we're at. But as I said, it's the natural evolution of things. The idea of this drift away from all things interpersonal into all things artificial. If we go back to Genesis 3:6, where the original sin takes place, this is even, it may sound fantastic, but it is part of the fallout that the Lord kind of alluded to when he says, what is this you guys have done? What is this you have done in breaking away and, as I'd say, Eve serving up for dinner the forbidden fruit to her husband. It created this fallout of sin, what we call, in our Christian speak, in our religious speak, sin. But what sin really is a fall away from all things natural and all things healthy, all things holistic and good. So that's what sin really is. We just say sin, and we get spiritual and say miss the mark and all of these things, but it really is just a fall away from all things natural. And so we see now what we have this bent toward the artificial, and what we call development in secular sense. We realize is actually taking people away from each other. The social media dynamic, it takes people away from each other. Children are locked away in their rooms, away from their siblings, away from their parents, away from their friends, and it's making life more artificial. Yeah, I call it the golden calf syndrome, where we are actually leaning toward worship of the things that we make with our hands, because we're moving away from the creator to the created. And the AI dynamic is just another created thing that we end up at its altar. We end up at the altar of the artificial. And because as Sonia was saying, that it really gives us this rush, without any accountability, any responsibility, so to speak. We get to do what we want. We get to enjoy ourselves the way we want, interact the way we want, and ain't nobody to challenge us or to acknowledge our weaknesses and so on. It's just going to feed us what we want. The algorithm has it feeding us what we want, saying what we want to hear, enticing us in designed ways. And these things are multi-million-dollar investments for some people. Top dollar purchases, engineers, psychologists, psychiatrists, all the brightest minds to develop these things. And so they work effectively for individuals looking for some kind of rush. That's why our kids are tied to these devices, because billions of dollars have gone into hiring the brightest minds to create these things, to hook them, and the kids not outside playing with the pets anymore. They're not outside talking to their friends, playing marbles like we used to. They're now locked away on their devices. And similarly, guys now are on their devices getting their fix. Ladies are on their devices getting their fix, whether it's social media or AI now, the next step, AI romantic relationships. They're giving them a fix.
Okay. Mrs. Winter, from your perspective, psychologically, what are your concerns or criticisms?
I think my main concerns is what it can do to human relationships and people's ability to really cultivate healthy human relationships, because the more that you engage with artificial avatars and so on, is the more likely, one, as I said, you're going to become obsessed. It's easy, it's very habit forming. Because of the psychological process that you go through. And then what is a natural offshoot of that is isolation. That the more time you're spending with this artificial boyfriend or girlfriend, is the more you're isolating from people, developing a emotional dependence on this particular entity. Your ability to differentiate between reality and the virtual world can become quite impaired. There's also, and you sort of lose interest anyway, so you lose the motivation to cultivate healthy relationships as well. And ultimately that can have a negative impact on mental health. Because you just, human beings are really social animals. We do need human interaction in order to thrive emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
There's also there's some ethical concerns as well, because from what I understand, and my research shows that, the kind of regulations and policies around the use of artificial boyfriends and girlfriends is not sufficiently developed. So issues around privacy are important as well. A lot of private information is being shared with these in these interactions.
Right.
Okay. So you're now exposing people to have their privacy um, compromised, but also it means that these individuals too are vulnerable to their information being sold, and so they now become the commodity, because their data is sold. They can now have people marketing all sorts of things to them. I mean, how important that information is to people, to companies, so that they can market whatever products this particular individual might need, because what their vulnerabilities are. So
Yeah.
those are important. And then, of course, it can even go further in terms of the nature of the private information that's shared, then compromises your whole financial status. And speaking of that, can compromise what your assets and so on. But
Right.
speaking of financial exposure too, these applications cost money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also too, in terms of the time and investment that human beings can commit to these, can be quite concerning as well. And the time and the financial investment that is can be something that can be detrimental to their well-being, both financially and emotionally. And then, of course, the more you're pulling the person out of real life things, they can start, as psychologists, what we focus a lot on is functioning. And you're functioning, how an individual is functioning in three different domains. One, how are they functioning in their social domain, right? Which we've talked about already. You're being pulled
Mm-hmm.
out of real life relationships and interactions. How are they functioning in their work domain? So quite often people can start to, stop functioning properly in work. Not meeting their job expectations, as it were, and roles and responsibilities there, because they're investing so much time in these relationships. And then finally, in terms of self-care, again, you can be so committed and obsessed with these relationships that your whole self-care, in terms of eating, sleeping, exercise, getting out, relaxing, becomes compromised as well. So those are some of the other
Um,
concerns as well that
yes.
can arise out of these relationships. And
Okay.
again, because they can be so addictive in nature, so easily addictive in
Yes.
nature.
In half a minute, Pastor Barbara, in closing, what are your words of advice to those who are already on these platforms, or those who are thinking of joining them?
It's not healthy, it is not healthy. God designed us for human interaction, as Mrs. Winter said. The reality is that we have a soul. We need to socialize with actual people. The scripture says in Genesis, it is not good for the man to be alone, and that alone, actually means without interpersonal relationship. So don't depend on these things. What I try to do with the YouTube project is bring people together. We try to create some events for socializing, even for singles mixers, and so on. So try to get out. That's what I encourage you. Try to get out. Try to get with others. Do things that are fun, adventurous. Take a friend. If not, meet a friend on an adventure. But get out of the house. Go do
Okay.
something fun.
Okay. All right. We want to thank you both for joining us. Interesting, informative discussion. Have a productive day, lady and gentlemen.
Blessings. Thank you so much.
Great.
Bless you.
Listeners,
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
a little savings in your hand.
The time by Jam Bank is
7:30, and we want to thank Bashko, the store that gives you more, for sponsoring the Morning Watch today.
The following message is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Jamaica, this is Mark Golding. It's time for change, and the date for change is Monday, 26th February. Start local and put your X beside the head. Time come. Your vote matters.
My son, shout out for power.
This message was brought to you by the People's National Party.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on my Bashko. Get it on my Bashko. Bashko. Be everything where you need. Bashko. The service guaranteed on my Bashko. Get it on my Bashko. Yeah, Bashko. Furniture for your house, everything for your kitchen, rocks, and more at Bashko. The store that gives you more. Bashko.
Word, Light and Power Victory Ministry invites you to our annual Victory March service in Penline Castle District, St. Thomas, February 25, 2024. We invite residents from Ness Castle, Mavis Bank, Tower Hill, Westphalia, Mount Lebanon, and adjoining communities to be a part of a mighty move of God. Come and hear victory testimonies. Come with your praise and requests. Hear the word from Minister Stanford Bennett with special guests, Reverend Gotti and Sister Nikki. For further information, please call 876-425-9222.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&M Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jmbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&M Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, open pit coal mine collapses in Venezuela and dozens are feared dead. We also see in the Gleaner, Betheltown woman to use candidacy to advocate for Chief Taki as national hero. We also see that burn victim father get new $9 million home through social housing program. In the Observer, the voting begins. More than 40,000 people registered to participate in special services vote today. Also, reduction in complaints about JFB response time. In Loop News, the Eiffel Tower closed by striking workers ahead of the Paris Olympics, and a German woman reported missing, last seen in St. Anne. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What are your thoughts on having an AI girlfriend or boyfriend? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and the YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
The
United Circuit of Seventh-day Baptist Churches hosted its 59th annual convention on Saturday, February 3, 2024, 10 a.m. at the Luna Seventh-day Baptist Church, St. Andrew. The theme for the service was United and Spiritually Resilient for a Successful Future. The speaker was Reverend Devon Levy. Love 101 FM will present a recording of the service this Sunday, February 25 at 12 noon. That's the 59th annual convention of the United Circuit of Seventh-day Baptist Churches. Listen for the recording at 12 noon on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Give me life, I'm so bad. All the world's not changing.
The Jamaica Baptist Union is hosting its 174th General Assembly under the theme Keeping Faith with the Word in an Ever-Changing World. And this Wednesday, February 21, you are invited to listen to the opening service live from the Boulevard Baptist with speaker, President Reverend Dr. Glenroy Leno, pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church in speaking on the theme Pursuing Integrity. Listen for Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef at 7 p.m. this Wednesday, right before the broadcast of the JBU. Join us on Sunday, February 25 at 10 a.m. as we will bring you the service from the National Arena with speaker Reverend Marvia Laws on the theme Keeping Faith with the Word in an Ever-Changing World, Demanding Equity. That's the Jamaica Baptist Union 174th General Assembly this Wednesday, February 21 at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday, February 25 at 10 a.m. live on the family station Love 101. The Jamaica Theological Seminary presents the Clive Affleck Memorial Lecture, Thursday, February 22 at 6 p.m. at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, 814 to 16 West Avenue, Kingston. Listen live on Love 101 FM radio and on our social media platforms. That's the Jamaica Theological Seminary Clive Affleck Memorial Lecture, Thursday, February 22 at 6 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What are your thoughts on having an AI girlfriend or boyfriend? Jokal?
All right, so we have some responses here on our WhatsApp line. Let me read this one first from Edna. Well, not read it, but she sent a voice note. So let me play that one.
Good morning, man. Watch. Good morning. Love 101. Listeners and staff. Here we go again. Another deception. AI girlfriend and boyfriend. Mighty God of Daniel. Look up redemption draw nigh. This is of the devil himself.
All right, thank you, Edna, for that one. This one is from, let me get her name real quick, Kim. All right, thanks, Kim. Kim says it could be beneficial for persons who have been unfortunately isolated for whatever reasons, without old age or disability. However, it promotes unnatural relationships and will eventually further cause social and psychological issues. For example, people will no longer know how to communicate and socialize with other human beings and will have expectations of perfections because they would have designed avatars to be their perfect person for interaction. So yeah, those are our responses.
Edna said this is of the devil?
Of the devil. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you very much for those who sent their responses. Very interesting responses, generally speaking. Now, as we segue into the second watch, in 2019, just before the COVID virus hit the world, Dr. Delroy Lingo learned he had stage 3 colon cancer. But in his words, and I quote, "Through it all, what kept me grounded was the unwavering belief that cancer would not be the end for me," end of quote. And it was not. 4 years later, he's here to tell the tale, which is encapsulated in a book entitled "Cancer is Not a Death sentence. And so, to discuss his story with us, we have Dr. Delroy Lingo, who is also a CEO of the Gospel Vibes Radio FM in Connecticut. Good morning to you, Dr. Lingo.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. How are you doing this morning? And also good morning to Love 101 radio listeners. Good morning to you. Thank God I made the wake-up list.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Doc. We really appreciate it. Can you walk us through your cancer journey, if I may call it that, from diagnosis to treatment?
Yes. All right. In 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer. After having a robust life, I am one that can always say that I was blessed with good health. Up until this time, I had only one experience of going into an hospital. I was blocked out one night and end up in the hospital just for a day. But apart from that, my entire life has been one of excellent health. And I think I took that for granted in somewhat too, because as a Caribbean person, there's some things that we don't really readily agree to, and there are some tests that is important for us to take, and I shun those tests many times. I go to doctor. I normally do my annual checkup, and he said, "You're of the age. You need to go and do these tests." But being in good health and feeling good and not wanting to expose myself as a man with certain kind of ideologies that you grew up with, I reframed them until I started having some feeling, and then went to the doctor. He did some tests and said I need to go do colonoscopy, and which I did. And the doctor wasn't looking too bright, and he said, I did what I could, but I see something that doesn't look good, so we're gonna do the test. He did the test. I was on my way to the studio to mix an album I had just recorded, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and he said, "Good morning, this is Doctor," and he told me his name. He said, "We did the test. The answer is not what you're expecting. You have stage 3 cancer." And the minute he said that, I heard as clear as day, cancer is not a death sentence. And that has kept me throughout my entire process. Just knowing that God is saying that, listen, it's not a death sentence. And that is why a lot of people die, because when they hear cancer, that's the next thing they think about, death. But that word has really, kept me throughout my entire process.
Yes. You mentioned process. What was the treatment like? You want to tell us?
Sure. I did surgery first, after consulting with my pastor and other individual, because I am a faith person. I believe that there's nothing that God can't do. So I was extending my faith, and I had a conversation with my pastor, somebody that I really respect, and he said, sometime healing comes in the form of a surgery. On a practical level, and I agree with him. I did this surgery, and everything. I mean, it was in all aspect a blessing. Such a surgery sometimes can flip. So many things can happen, and I always like to use this term that everything that could have gone wrong went right. My recovery was unbelievable. The doctor even mentioned that, I took more than I wanted to, just to be sure that this cancer would not return. They was recommending chemo, which when I did the study, I didn't think that was something that I wanted. So I ended up with an ostomy bag, which was, I guess, one of the hardest things for me to comply with.
Tell you what, Doc. Could you just hold that thought? We're up on a break. We'll be right back. Thank you.
The
Jamaica Theological Seminary presents the Clive Affleck Memorial Lecture, Thursday, February 22 at 6 p.m. at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, 814 to 16 West Avenue, Kingston. Listen live on Love 101 FM radio and on our social media platforms. That's the Jamaica Theological Seminary Clive Affleck Memorial Lecture, Thursday, February 22 at 6 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Hurt less with Pharma Joint Flex. Taking Pharma Joint Flex daily helps to repair, replenish, and revitalize worn, damaged cartilage that causes joint pain. Do you suffer from arthritis and chronic joint pain? Then Pharma Joint Flex is the remedy for you. Our all-natural formula contains glucosamine and chondroitin, ingredients for joint repair, so you can get relief. Ask your pharmacist or doctor for Pharma Joint Flex, distributed by Massey.
Doing business in Jamaica is now better than ever. Thanks to feedback from you, we're cutting through the red tape and introducing digital, world-class systems to build a better environment to help your business thrive. Whatever you do, wherever you are, we're making doing business faster, simpler, better together.
Visit JamaicaBusinessReforms.com to learn how we are building better business together. Sponsored by JAMPRO and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
When you retire, you're still going to get up.
Rise and shine.
You're still going to get out ready for the road because you're retiring from work, not your lifestyle. With a Sagicor Lifestyle Approved Retirement Scheme, individuals can save up to 20% of their income towards retirement tax-free. So when you've reached retirement, you'll have more than a rocking chair waiting for you.
I'm ready for my day at the spa.
Start saving for your golden years with a Sagicor Lifestyle Approved Retirement Scheme. Apply online at elife.sagicorjamaica.com.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on Habasco. Get it on Habasco. Habasco. Everything where you need. Habasco. The service guaranteed on Habasco. Get it on Habasco. Yeah, Habasco. Furniture for your house, and everything for your kitchen, box, and more at Habasco. The store that gives you more. Habasco.
Word, Light and Power Victory Ministry invites you to our annual Victory March service in Penline Castle District, St. Thomas, February 25, 2023. We invite residents from Ness Castle, Mavis Bank, Tower Hill, Westphalia, Mount Lebanon, and adjoining communities to be a part of a mighty move of God. Come and hear victory testimonies. Come with your praise and requests. Hear the word from Minister Stanford Bennett with special guests Reverend Gon Gotti and Sister Nikki. For further information, please call 876-425-9222.
All registered electors are allowed time off to vote on election day for the February 26th local government election. Under the law, every employer shall permit employees to be absent from work on polling day for 3 hours in addition to the normal lunch hour. This does not apply to employees who begin work at 10 a.m. or after or end work at 2 p.m. or earlier. Remember, time off to vote on election day is your right. That was an important announcement from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this second watch, we are saying that cancer is not a death sentence. At least that is the title of the book, as written by our guest for this, the second watch, Dr. Delroy Lingo, who is a cancer survivor. Before the break, Dr. Lingo, you were telling us about the treatment. Please go ahead.
Yes. And like I was saying, one of the hardest things for me to have a maneuver was the fact that I had an ostomy bag. I had to administer, inject myself with blood thinner twice a day, which was hard. I've never had to do anything like that, but I managed to handle it. But the ostomy bag was the hardest because there was a possibility that it could not be reversed, and so I would have had to live with it for my life. Over a period of time, the healing process was great, and so I was able to reverse the ostomy bag, allowing me to live a normal life again. Over a period of time, like a year and a half, when I had to return, to do a test to see how things was coming. Lo and behold, the last thing I expected to hear when they did the test again and the doctor again, I was at the studio. I just recorded a song, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. The minute I finished the song and the engineer said, "That's good," my phone rang. I went outside and it was the doctor again after I did the second test. Said, "Mr. Lingo, I don't have good news. The cancer has returned." And that kind of sent me for a loop because he told me that he took more than he needed. So, and the chemotherapist said I had a good 4 or 5 years before any form of reoccurrence. So that kind of took me for a loop then. And I'm like, how is this possible? I said, does it mean I'm going to have to do a surgery every year? And so then I decided that I had some consultation and I decided that the surgery didn't work. And I decided I'm not really thinking surgery. So I go to my primary. I said, what are the alternatives? And so we look into different areas, and I was introduced to another doctor to do radiation and to do chemo. So I said I would do the radiation. I wasn't too keen on chemo, but he told me it's the pill form. So that simply means they wouldn't have the ear loss and all the different things that normally happen. I did the radiation, I did the chemo. The side effects was very, very minimal. I'm really grateful because they gave me a book of side effects, and when I saw it, I actually changed my mind. And they said, "No, try it. If it gets worse, we'll stop." Thank God I went through all of that without any problem. After doing all of that, and even before that, I went onto the natural path and I did a lot of natural this and oh Lord, if you see my house, I had more tablets than what the pharmacy had. So I tried many, many different ways, and eventually I ended up with chemo and radiation. After I did that, I thought this was going to be the end of it. Within a 6-month period, even though they told me that the chemo and the radiation is actually a preparation for surgery, because that will shrink it to the point where surgery would be much easier. But I actually really didn't think of surgery. And so I started to really look within myself as an individual and say, you know what, I have done chemo, I've done radiation, I've done all of this. The only thing I've not experienced is healing. So I start actually get within myself and say, God, what it is that I need to do. And, it kind of start opening up to me and show me, that if your body is the temple, then the temple has to be prepared for God to live in the temple. So I started to do retrospection in my own life. I started to look at my Christian walk and see what it is that I really need to do. And as I develop a closer relationship with God, God starts showing me some things that I need to take care of. And one of the things that actually blew my mind was that there are some folks that I have had interaction throughout my life, man to woman kind of a situation, relationship that I left that was not closed out properly, that individuals were still hurting from those stuff. And when I prayed, and he brought folks pictures to my mind that I had to call them and confess and repent and ask for forgiveness and all of that. And as I go through this process, I realized that my faith was building in God. And 3 things he showed me, said, your ear gate, your mouth gate, and your eye gate, those are directive right to the temple. If those are not in check, then the temple cannot be right. So I stopped watching television. Because when I used to watch television, I would see movies, I'd see people doing cursing and swearing and all these kind of things that are not conducive to the spirit. And so I stopped watching television. I start be careful of what I listen to, and primarily the things that I say, because the life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so I start be careful to speak positive things. But throughout the process, I've never lost faith. When they say cancer, that's never affected me. I've never feared death. None of those ever stopped me. I've never not had a good night's sleep. I've never not had something to eat because I'm worried. Because when I did my first surgery, none of my family member knew, because I was at such peace with God. I didn't want anybody to try to tell me anything. I just wanted to be at peace with God. And after I did the chemo and all of that, then I realized after 6 months, I start having problems again. And I'm like, what is really going on in my life? And so I decide, the surgeon, they insist that I have to do another surgery. I tell them, I said, no, I am not doing another surgery. I'm not doing chemotherapy. I am trusting God, because that's the only thing left. I've done everything already. Where am I going to go through the old process that I've gone through? It simply didn't work. And so I started to really trust God. And I had some family members and church and folks around me and from the radio station that really started to storm heaven on my behalf. And the funny thing, sometimes when you're expecting some things and you think you're almost there, the enemy just have a way to just throw some stuff in your spokes, because what he's trying to do is trying to allow you to doubt God. And if there's any form of doubt in your heart, then that healing process can never take place. And so as I started to live right, as I started to do things, I said, God, this is your temple. I'm going to do the best I can for you to live in the temple, because if it's not pure, if it's not clean, you're not going to live in it. And when I reach the place where I understand and start doing certain things, I say, no, God, I am doing all that I can do humanly. I'm doing the best to keep the temple clear. See, the cancer, that is on you. If you want a cancer-ridden body, then that's on you, because I'm doing the best so that I can have my temple pure. When I went in to do a test, lo and behold, I'm on the verge of expecting healing. I'm rejoicing. Then there comes a blockage in my system. I couldn't pass my stool as I wanted to. And then I'm going through the process. I said, I'm not doing another surgery. So I went to another surgeon who told me that he could put a stem in. So when the cancer presses on the tube, it bounces back and I'll be able to. I said, I don't worry about the cancer. Don't worry about the cancer. All I want is to be able to do that. So we agree, and on my way, going through the process to do the surgery, my system totally blocked off. I could not pass anything, so I went into emergency. I had to do another surgery to clear that. While they were clearing that surgery, they said, I saw something that doesn't look good. So they did another test, and when the test came back, I mean, this he said, sir, sad to say, the test we just did, you now have stage 4 cancer. So expecting a healing, and what I got was stage 4. And all I said was, no, I'm not sure what you want me to do with this information. And I went to him. It took me 2 weeks before I told my wife. I had a discussion with my pastor, because she was just going through a whole lot. I was ending up every April in the hospital. I was just going to emergency. All of this was happening. And that was a lot on her. And I said, I'm not going to tell her that. Because most people, when you're stage 4, the next thing you're supposed to write your will, because you're on your way out.
Tell you what, though, Doc, we are out of time. Oh, boy. In half a minute, though, your words of encouragement to those who are facing
But I just want to say quickly, though, that at the end of that, I told him I wasn't doing the surgery. I said I'm going to Jamaica to do something and come back, and I'll do the test. When I did the test and came back, the test proved that I was cancer-free.
Okay.
That there was no form of cancer in my body.
We have to leave it there. We have to leave it there. Yes, we have to leave it there. But we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we're thanking God that you are able to be with us this morning. You're still in the land of the living. We give God glory and praise.
Here for a long time.
Yeah, man. We continue praying for you.
Yeah.
Okay, Doc?
Okay, and the book will have all the stories.
Yeah, man. Okay. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This, of course, has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, And our guests, please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, reminding you to be purposeful, faithful, thankful, and watchful as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Duke Aldaya.
Thank you for listening to The Morning Watch. The time is now 8 a.m. and we want to say thank you to Bashko for sponsoring the hour 7 to 8. Coming up next, we have Forward in Faith, brought to you by the New Testament